Welcome everyone to the next edition of the Stay Course podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce Doris Fink. And she is an expert who has more than 2 decades helping professionals build lives of freedom, fulfillment, and legacy through smart business ownership. As president of Plan B 2000 Inc., she supports leaders in creating their Plan B and stepping into the future they truly want. Welcome, Doris, to the Stay Course podcast.
Julie, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Well, I have two, Doris. And before we get started, I ask all of my guests, what is your favorite food?
Well, I'm not going to disappoint anybody that sees this because everyone knows that my favorite food is any kind of dessert, chocolate especially.
Chocolate. But what
Chocolate.
is the favorite chocolate dessert? Is there like a dessert you like in the chocolate family of desserts?
You are getting tough. That's a tough question. I like anything that has chocolate on it. So one of my favorite desserts is not chocolate, it's sunshine cake, but they'll take a little smudge of chocolate and put it in the frosting, and I'm happy.
All right, Doris. Well, I'm very excited to be talking about business ownership today with you. And you've had a very interesting career. Can you just give us like a quick summary of how you came into helping people get franchises?
Sure, I'd love to. Quick summary. I grew up never in a million years believing that I would want to be an entrepreneur. I was taught that I had to go to school, get a degree, and look toward climbing the corporate ladder. Doesn't everybody? Um, so I did what I was told. I went to a college prep high school. I went to nursing school. I finished college and I started climbing my little ladder in the healthcare industry. I was a single mom. I had 2 kids and I was working 3 jobs to do all
Wow.
of, yeah. Um, but I was very fortunate. One fine day, somebody came into the radiology department that I was running and was presenting a piece of equipment to the radiologist that they got excited about, but knew the hospital wasn't going to buy. And this person, who was like 30 years old, went home thinking about it and thought, that would be a great mobile diagnostic business. Do not ask me where I got the guts to walk in a couple of days later and say, I have a great idea. And believe it or not, a few days later, the doctors came to me with an amazing proposal. They said, You're on. It's your company. Here's $300,000.
Wow.
Go buy the equipment and start a company. And I thought, wow. So they gave me time to think about it. And I had 2 agonizing sleepless nights. I'm sorry, 2 months
But
of
what an amazing opportunity that was. Who gets dropped $300,000 to pilot an idea that they had?
well, I did, except that I was about to be vested at the hospital. I knew what I had. I had a great job and I was getting up that ladder and feeling really good about it.
Wow.
So it's a huge decision when you have the responsibility of 2 little kids. I mean, what do you do? But after a couple of months, something hit me that if I didn't do it now, I may never get this chance again.
Mm.
And I walked back in and said, I'm on. And with that, they said, What's the name of your company? And I stood there like, um, uh, thermodiagnostics. I don't know where that came from, you know. Eh, it was a good time. It was 5 years of the best education in business anyone ever could have handed me. It could have been 10 master's degrees. I purchased the equipment, got my techs, got them trained, put together a great team. We had over 100 accounts in 3 counties. Um, Life was really good. And then the 5th year came. And you know what? I had just built somebody else's dream.
Mm.
Those doctors were getting a divorce. That group was falling apart, and that business was not mine, it was theirs.
Oh, so you had to exit.
Stage left quickly.
Stage that left quickly. Then what, Doris?
Well, I thought I was going to go get a job. I mean, I thought, well, anybody's going to be so excited to hire me. And they were more or less. I had offers. I even got hired. I accepted a position, and I really liked this physician. But after 3 days in her practice, I called her up and said, I'd love to be a consultant for you and give you some great ideas, but I don't think this is the right spot for me. You have to start by firing your sister. It wasn't good. So I came home and said, I can't do this. I need to be my own boss and I need to find a business.
Nice. And so where does Plan B 2000 come in? How did you get into that?
Well, the first thing I did basically was find something that appealed to me. I had a certain amount of capital and that I thought I could invest. Well, actually, it was my new husband's capital because I really didn't have that much behind me.
Yeah.
Um, and I was really lucky because he was very supportive. I used a little pack and chip store around the corner from my office. And I thought, maybe there's a McDonald's of that industry or something. It was such a new idea and discovered mailboxes, etc. And kind of the rest was history. Uh, I, in the beginning, was concerned that we were paying all this money and what were we going to get for it in my new plan B, because I look what I had just done, and my husband was in the logistics industry. So just I thought, well, we probably could have done it by ourselves. But 6 months into it, I realized that between the marketing advantage, the camaraderie, the collaboration of other people that were franchisees building the same dream, more or less, but bringing our own personalities to what we were doing and our own skill set, I realized that it was worth every penny.
Mm.
Uh-huh. And so that was my plan B. And I was so excited about it. I thought that there might be other people out there with the same dream.
With a plan B, Doris, with a plan B. And I love talking about this because I think that most people do have a phase one career and then a phase two career. The phase one career is the career you need while you're raising your kids. You were a single mom. I was a single mom. There was really not a lot of wiggle room for me at that time to pivot because I needed the steady income, but I always knew there was something else, Taurus. I always knew there was something else for me. And so I found out, when I was 32 that there was something else. I had been recreating myself into this other career that I wanted to have one day. I didn't know when it would come, but I knew it would come one day. And so there's a lot of people out there listening right now that are thinking, I'm in my corporate job or my corporate job has ended. I need to pivot my career. I want to do something different. And those are the people you love to talk to, right, Doris?
I do because I was young when this happened to me, but the majority of people that I talk to are 50-ish, maybe between 45 and 65 for different reasons. But basically, they've climbed the ladder. They've been passed over. They've been laid off one time too many.
Mm,
They've been forced to travel and miss family events. They've been asked to do things that in their heart they felt weren't ethical. And you reach a point where you really have to weigh the idea of continuing to climb that ladder or just I had the sleepless nights. You just have to wake up and say, you know what? I've got to do something different, and
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. What everybody doesn't realize, I think, is for me, the skill set that I gained building that company was every piece of knowledge really that I needed to do any business. I
Mm.
just did it for someone else.
Yes.
People that are out there, professionals and corporate positions, they have the skill set. They just need to kind of adjust it a little bit and take hold of what they're doing and build it.
It's
Um,
exactly right. You're exactly right. There, when you're in corporate, you learn a lot of different things that help you as a small business owner. The one thing that is different, I can tell you from my experience, is the layers of bureaucracy that you have to deal with as being an entrepreneur, opposed to being a corporate executive. Now, the complexity moves from, having to deal with different stakeholders at different levels to selling and creating alliances and relationships outside of your business. So there are parallels everywhere, Doris, literally everywhere between being a corporate executive to business ownership.
but you don't lose the skill set that you have.
Right.
And for me, and everybody is different. I found that, and here's the other thing. I've worked all different business models because after mailboxes, et cetera, I grew a licensing opportunity, and that licensing opportunity was exactly what Plan B 2000 is all about. Only we brought in 250 executives that love what we were doing to help other executives find their business. For me, having structure around me and anything I did is really kind of the secret to my success. Therefore, I was able to bring my skill set, my personality, my own creativity to a franchise. My center was not the same as the guy 3 miles down the road. People buy you, so that, there's always going to be a difference. Okay. And so the best thing for me personally was structure, whether it was franchise, licensing, a distributorship, something. We started a family business, but that family business wouldn't be where it is today if I didn't think about structure again and join a trade organization that offered education and support, et cetera. That doesn't mean that my business is anything like the guy down the street or the gal down the street. It just means that I had more opportunity for marketing and for education, et cetera. So for me, I like to recommend something with structure like a franchise or a licensing opportunity to the people I work with for their first business.
I see. Yeah, because it is a lot of content development that you have to have to get the business up and running. Doris, let's say somebody's coming to you right now. They're at the brink of losing their job and they come to you and they're like, Doris, I need to make a move. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of corporate America. What's the first step you take them through?
Really very simple. In a very brief introductory call, I can get a feeling for how sincere they are and even very quickly qualify them. But the next step, if they're truly interested and a business sounds good to them, the next step, we spend about an hour together. And the things that are really important would be family support. That's number one. I don't know if you've ever heard of spousicide, but it's a disease. So they have to have their family support, and the timing has to be right for where their family is at.
Hmm.
They need to have the capital, but I think a lot of people have a misconception about the amount of capital they need. Either they don't realize they need any, and I must tell you, there are no free businesses, or they think they have to have hundreds and thousands of dollars, and that's not necessarily true. If they own a home, that's a plus, and if they have good credit, that's great. There's always financing. So in a franchise system, the franchise fee is typically not that high. They do need, it's more of a consideration to have the money to get them through that first year or two, because in any business, you truly don't have a business for a few years where you're going to start to replace an income that you at least can live on.
Yeah.
So those are the things we talk about. Um, and I learned a lot about them. I learned about their skill set. I learned about industries they have an interest in. Um, they share a lot of personal things, but the best part is that they share things from the questions I asked that they hadn't thought about. And
Mm.
it's so important. You shouldn't get caught up in thinking, well, I want a business, but it's not simple. There's lots of stuff to consider. And hobbies are not always the best way to start a business.
Yeah. Now, I think we need to just roll back a little bit because I want to talk about the startup time to making money. And I think that there's a misnomer out there that people think they're going to be making money in the first 2 years. Nobody tells us that story, Doris. Like,
I do.
Doris is telling the story, guys. Listen, everyone out there, if you've been in business for less than 2 years, what could we expect? What should we expect for the first 2 years of business, Doris?
I'm not going to give you numbers, but I'm going to tell you that the first year of business, I'm not going to tell you you're not going to get money in the door, but it's going to be a little bit because you've had all these expenses to get launched. And
Yeah.
so, you're going to need to supplement that. Year two, you're feeling a little better because it's more steady. That little bit is becomes steady. And
The
so,
very little bit,
yeah,
Doris.
the little bit becomes steady though, because you've picked up clients or customers or whatever. Um, Year three is very different. Year three, I think that you begin to see what your earning capability could be. And I think your attitude changes a little bit. I think you open your mind and say, this is going to work.
Doris, you are preaching to the choir. I think that that's right on. If I'm looking at my own personal business, I think that's exactly what has been happening. So I'm at year 3, Doris.
And I'm excited for you.
I'm at year 3, and literally, I can tell you that like November 1st, I turned the corner and I can see the light. I actually can see the light. But Doris, the first 2 years, you want to give up every day. Every day, I want now let me reframe that. Every Friday, I was getting a job.
You know what? That's not an unusual feeling. I will tell you that you're doing something very special. You're building your brand. If you were in a situation, if I had caught you before you started to build your brand, I might have steered you in a different direction. You're going to be fine, but because I think that you're very unique, very unique. Um, but if you had a franchise situation, I think that the I need a job every Friday wouldn't be there. I think
Mm,
that you would feel that you had a parachute. I think that you'd feel that you were being so supported, and in many cases had clients brought to you.
oh,
There are just so many, whether it's customers that are attracted to the brand or
yeah.
it's clients that have heard about these great white collar coaching opportunities or cost reduction consulting or whatever. It's different. You're doing the hardest thing ever, but I will tell you that you are unique. And that in a good way, in a very good way. Um, I'm not so sure you would not be my typical candidate. And I'm very proud of you, but I think that you're just different.
Well, Doris, thank you for that. And I can see the value in bringing on a franchise or a licensing agreement with somebody because in the way that I've done it, there's a lot of trial and error. And I think if there was a proven system in place, it would have been a heck of a lot easier. So that's something to think about for our listeners that are out there. If you're starting a
Mhm.
business right now and you're struggling, it may be a great opportunity for you to have a conversation with Doris to see if there is a potential business structure out there that you can buy into to make everything just a little easier, Doris. God, geez, a little easier, Doris.
A lot easier, and I have no fee. And I love what I do. So I love talking to people and helping them through this time. And my belief from the beginning of building this business is that if it's not right for them, I'm not looking at what's going to happen afterwards and my commission. And I know that sounds weird, but I look at it as I've just helped somebody and I've made another friend, and you never know who they know. So I enjoy this. This feels good to me.
Yeah. So as we look to close this podcast today, I'm just wondering, like, what are the questions that people should be asking themselves as it relates to business ownership to get them thinking, is this something that might be a good fit for me?
I think they have to look themselves in the mirror and be true to themselves. And I think there are people that absolutely, both my children are not entrepreneurs at this point in their lives at all. They have no desire. You have to look at yourself and say, am I comfortable? Do I have the energy? Forget about the wherewithal. I'll take care of that. I'll let you know if you can do it. But do I have the personality and do I have the energy to go on this mission? Because it's very freeing, it's very liberating, but it's a trek and you have to be ready for it. But
Yeah.
talking to me, you don't have to be ready for anything. I'm easy and I can give you some great ideas as to whether or not the timing is right and if you can pull this off.
So, Doris, like, what would you say the ingredients for success are? What are the ingredients for success to having a successful business franchise? Just three of them.
Just three of them. Okay. I would say that they need to be interested in, they need to love people. They need to be great relationship builders
Mm,
because you sell yourself. A lot of people say, I'm afraid of networking or marketing, but the truth of the matter is we sell ourselves every day. I think that they need to have some sense of business, um, or they need to know where to get help for that as far as the financial end of it. And I think that they need to be somewhat passionate about what they're going to do. And that's a tricky thing because a lot of people mistake passion for good business sense. In other words, a lot of people love pets, so they want a business in the pet industry, but it would be the worst thing in the world for them.
mm.
So three things they really interest in business development, good interpersonal skills, and some sense of business. Just and you know what they need? They need a why. They need to know why they're doing it. They need their purpose. They they really need to go into this with a vision.
I love that. Doris, where can our audience find out more about you and what you do?
That's so easy. They just have to look up Doris Fink on LinkedIn and they will find me.
I love
Uh,
that.
I think there's one other lady in Germany, though. I'm here, right here in Florida. But
Doris, you're an amazing human. You really are. I'm so excited that you had a chance to be on the Stay on Course podcast. If there's one piece of advice you want to leave people with today, what is it?
try the sunshine cake.
Try the sunshine cake, everybody.
That's it. I've given you so much advice or put out so much advice today, Julie. I would say follow your heart. Just do what you feel is right and get advice from someone who has the experience and not only is talking the talk, but has walked the walk. That's really important.
Doris, thank you so much for being a guest on the Stay on Course podcast.
I've loved it. Thank you for having me.